make a contribution to the COP27. I found we are also having our COP2, Conference of Parties of Pace, series early. Professor Xu mentioned this is webinar 2, so I call it COP2. COP2 right now in parallel with COP27 make the contributions how China's experiences can be shared, can share with the world, with the rest of the world, with other countries. So my research work on co-control could be traced back to the 2 decades ago. Actually, at the end of last century, I started the work. That time, think about how we can combine together or link together the air pollution issue with the climate issue. So in the past, I have done a couple of research projects, but recently I have done 2. Today, my report is mainly based on the 2 research reports. One is Asia Development Bank TA project in a strategic policy study on the co-control of air pollution and carbon emissions in the transportation sector, together with the Ministry of Transport. So this is the project brief introduction. I'm leading the team working together with a couple of researchers in the field, including Professor Mao Xianqiang. He's also one of the pacers in our group. So the research, this is a research framework. We made a review of co-control study. We developed the methodology of co-control and have done a couple of case studies in the transportation sector and developed the future development scenarios by 2030 and make some policy recommendations to Chinese government. So this is the ADB report, research logic framework. And the methodology part is being published by ADB in their website. It's downloadable. You can go to the ADB website to search and get the full report on the methodology. And just this week, last week, sorry. So we just launching another report, which is being supported by SEE. We together with other colleagues, I'm leading the group and write the report, PACE as one of the supporting organizations. So this is, I would say, although we have already launched the report last week, but still today, I'm glad to share the report with PACers. This is because we also have the ownership. This is the report, the cover page of the report. For carbon reduction and air pollution reduction purpose, we actually have no physical paper report. We only have the digital one. You also can either download from the SE website or contact me. I'm happy to share with you the report. The report is being launched just last week in Beijing, organized by Phoenix TV and WWF, my former employer. So this actually, the conference is also targeting on the COP27, how China can make some contributions to COP27. Today, I don't have enough time to tell you everything. I just only focus on some key points from the report. Meaning, talking about, I skip the methodology part, is very technical. So you can download the report, get the study, and contact me. We can have in-person discussion. Today, I just highlight some key points. Why the pollution, co-control of air pollution and greenhouse gas emission is very necessary. What kind of international experiences and lessons we should learn, and how to achieve the goal of co-control. And in the report, we also provided 3 case studies. But today, I don't have time to go to the case studies. I just directly go to the last chapter of the report, talking about the China's experiences, how China's experiences can share with the rest of the world, especially India, other developing countries, emerging economies, and China's experiences, how can make a contribution to UN systems. So today, this is my plan. First, let me talk about why it's very necessary to have the co-control of air pollution and greenhouse gas emission. And even broadly in MEE, Ministry of Ecology and Environment, they not only to reduce both air pollution, also water pollution, solid waste, and even trying to coordinate with biodiversity, with wildland, with everything in the environmental protection sector, together with climate change. So in just this July, the 6 ministries jointly released a report called 减污降碳协同增效. The report actually is trying to, in the future, China should think about a coordination between everything in the environment protection sector with the climate change. The climate change, even not only the carbon, also non-carbon pollutants as well. And our research, 2 research reports mainly focus on the air pollution and the carbon dioxide, not other environmental pollutions, not other non-carbon dioxide pollutants, greenhouse gas emissions. So I still focus on carbon and air pollution. Currently, you will find the 减污降碳协同增效 is a very popular slogan everywhere in the environmental protection system. I have been invited by Hunan Environment Department of Ecology and Environment Protection. I also have been invited by Liaoning Provincial Environment Department of Environment Protection to give a talk about the 减污降碳协同增效 issue. So this is getting very popular. However, go into further for pacers, we should think about not following, the popular slogans. Go into further from the academic research perspective. Is carbon dioxide same with sulfur dioxide, with NOx, with VOC, with ozone, with PM? Actually, it's completely different. Air pollution is related with carbon dioxide. When carbon dioxide is concentration is getting lower, can we get a blue skies? Actually, it's not. It's not a completely directly linked. It's a different pollutants. We should think about for the government decision makers and for the companies. They actually are facing multi-goal decision problem. How we are facing a couple of goals we wanted to reach. We want to reduce carbon dioxide. We also want to reduce SOx, NOx, VOC, ozone, PM, it's a different objectives. We think about how this is a multi-objective decision-making process. What kind of goal we should set up, what kind of uh, policy measures we should take, what kind of technological rules we should choose. We should choose what kind of control measures we should choose. What are the effectiveness we should evaluate? This is totally different. We cannot mix them up together. Give you some examples to show actually is a contradictory part of the 减污降碳协同增效哈。Somehow reduce pollutants could be reduced, but however, carbon could be increased. Is vice versa. It's another side of the same. I give you 3 examples from scope 1 to scope 2 and scope 3. Look at scope 1. In the past years, China wants to reduce air pollution at the beginning to reduce SOx and NOx. The most very important control measures being taken is FGD technology, especially in coal-fired power plants. When reduce 1 ton of sulfur, actually, based on our research, 5.4 tons of carbon could be increased. Why? Because of the chemical reaction formula. Think about suddenly I found I have been stayed in China too long. I forgot how to describe in English to describe the chemical reaction formulas. Is my basic education is in China, so I learned a lot from my daughter when she is in the U.S. But suddenly I forgot how my English. I found is suffered staying in mainland China for more than 2 years. My English is not as fluent as before. Sorry about that. Let me use Chinese. 这个用这个整个的这个脱硫过程呢，其实是用这个硫酸钙对不起，是碳酸钙。碳酸钙呢加上二氧化碳，把二氧化硫进来，把二氧化碳出去，变成了硫酸钙。在这个释放二氧化碳是这么一个过程。化学反应方程式呢，其实就是二氧化碳加上这个碳酸钙10·10，变成了硫酸钙10高，再加上二氧化碳，这是整个这个化学反应过程。So in the chemical reaction formula the process, actually sulfur dioxide is become the 硫酸钙 and the carbon dioxide is out. So this is the formula. And at the same time, implement, to conducting the FGD technology, it consumes a lot of energy. In the coal-fired power plants, roughly 1.5% of electricity are being consumed to execute the FGD technology to reduce sulfur dioxide. Similar for NOx is the same. When you reduce SOx and the NOx, the carbon could be increased. It's opposite. I know in many European countries, BECCS is getting popular. They plant the trees to get a timber, use the timber as a firewood together with coal fire, with natural gas to generate electricity. At the same time, they thought they reduce the carbon because the carbon is not 100% from natural gas, from the coal, is from biological materials, from firewood. They thought it's a reduced carbon process. However, think about the coal, burning firewood is also increase a lot of air pollution. So uh, I've been living in DC area for about a decade. I found in that area no industries at all. In winter, in this season, the major pollution actually is from the firewoods. That means by using the BECCS, reduce the carbon, increasing the air pollution. This is for the scope one, for the scope one. For the scope two, similar, I'll give you another example about electric cars. Electric cars is getting popular, not only in China, not only in US, in Europe, many countries has already decided their gasoline cars deadlines, which year they are going to completely phase out the gasoline cars. They saw the electric cars are environmental friendly. I would say based on our ADB research project, I would say with a precondition, that's true. Without other condition, actually it's not. Think about the air pollution by using the electric cars. Is it better? It is. In the near ground, air pollution concentration is much lower because it's electricity, no tail gas at all. It's true. And for carbon dioxide is being reduced by using electrical cars. It really depends on where the electricity from the coal-fired power plants or from the hydro, from the solar, or from the wind, really depends. If you use the renewable energy, it is carbon dioxide is being reduced. If you use the coal-fired power plants, problem is not because the carbon dioxide is being released not by the car, is by the coal-fired power plants. One side I would say yes. Another side I also would say no. So air pollution emission is being reduced, maybe not. Concentration, ambient air quality might be getting better. However, the emissions, air pollution emissions, yes and no. If still using the coal-fired power plants, it depends on the efficiency of a gasoline engine and all the electricity efficiency. The high stack emissions, which easily resulting the acid rain could have a long distance transport from China to Japan to Korea, even go further to North America. And similarly in Europe, from the European countries used to complain a lot, the air pollution from Eastern European countries. If you still use a coal-fired power plants to provide electricity for electric cars, still the pollutions resulting the acid rain has not been reduced at all. So this is so the scope two example. I think only the electricity, most of the electricity from the renewables that can ensure the electrical cars are both reduce carbon and air pollutants. For the scope three, you also see not 100% true. For solar, by using the solar panels, it's true. It can reduce 100% carbon, zero carbon emissions, zero pollutions. However, if we go further, asking the question, how the PV panel are being produced, that's really depends on how you make the PV panels. The silicon material becomes a PV panel. It actually is a very energy consuming industry. It's also air pollution industry. So that's why in China, a couple of PV panel manufacturers are talking about from solar to solar. They use solar energy to make solar PV panels to ensure these are environmental friendly enough to reduce both carbon and air pollution. However, in this process, still not able to ensure the PM, the pollutants, particulates can be reduced at the same time. It needs more new technologies to reduce particulates as well. So these three examples from scope 1, scope 2 to scope 3 to show you not a definitely reduce carbon can at the same time reduce reduce pollutants. Reduce air pollutants doesn't mean also you can reduce carbon as well. This is a coordination problem, not only from the air pollution and the carbon dioxide. Actually, it's beyond that. You can see the water pollution, the soil pollution, soil contamination. These problems also should coordinate with greenhouse gas emission, like carbon dioxide, methane issue, and other non-carbon pollutants. There are a lot. And even within the lower level, within the air pollution itself, SOx, NOx, PM, ozone, VOC also need to be coordinated. Within the greenhouse gas emission, carbon dioxide, methane, SF6 and HCFC, they also need coordinations. That's also why the Kigali protocol is being held to take over the older CFC cooling material. HCFC is GWP is much lower than the CFC, and also it has the same or similar cooling effect. So that this is beyond the air pollution and carbon dioxide. Actually, we all need a coordinate for all of them. So this is not only an academic research project, it's also the practical. It's also the practical question as well. So under the current carbon neutrality, under the current blue sky program, how can we both reduce them both? Reduce carbon, reduce air pollutants, or to avoid reduce one to increase another one. And this research actually is started very early, even at the beginning. I remember right in COP3 in Kyoto Protocol, in Kyoto, when they reached the Kyoto Protocol, many Annex 1 countries, especially some European countries, trying to convince China, India, and other developing countries, you really should reduce the carbon dioxide because you can get so-called secondary benefits or ancillary benefits. They thought reduce carbon must reduce air pollutants. However, it's not true. And China, together that time with the US because that's during the Bush administration, the US is not willing to sign the Kyoto Protocol. They find that time they find a reason. They thought it's not true. Reduce carbon could reduce air pollutants. In US, it's opposite. We reduce air pollutants. We can reduce carbon. How you can see this is secondary benefits or ancillary benefits? This is a co-benefits. That's a term US EPA is being used. China has a similar idea, so they agreed with US proposal. So in the second phase, gradually in this field, people not using the secondary benefits or ancillary benefits, more and more using co-benefits. And even US created a program called Integrated Environment Strategy Program, and support many countries, including China, to do the co-benefits study. And one of the researchers being contracted by US EPA doing the research work, that time we found if we agree we have the co-benefits, can we in China maximize the co-benefits? Let the net co-benefits as large as possible. So that's the idea. We think that can we have the co-control measures to control air pollutants, to control the greenhouse gases, to maximize the co-benefits. So we propose the concept of co-control, trying to maximize the co-benefits. That's also the definition. Right now, we're using co-control. Co-control means the measures can maximize the co-benefits. Right now, actually, in phase 4, from phase 1, ancillary secondary benefits to co-benefits, and then phase 2 co-benefits, phase 3 co-control. Right now, China actually is a couple of programs and regulations and law articles to implement the co-control. In the 14th Five-Year Plan, there are 减污降碳行动计划. In China's air pollution prevention and control law, in Article 2 is specifically targeted on co-control. Should co-control these air pollutants and the greenhouse gas emissions. So this is a very, very unique in the world. Not only have the regulations, also have the law articles in its air pollution prevention law. And earlier mentioned the 7 ministries jointly issued another action plan, 减污降碳协同增效. So, and China actually is in the period of implement a co-control program. So I found that China can really make some contribution to the rest of the world. Before that, maybe I can quickly give some our pacers, not only the implementers, also researchers. So I give a quick snapshot to show you the idea why co-control is possible. So look at the IPCC group. IPCC group 1 mostly targeting on the atmosphere, talking about the interactions between the pollutants. IPCC group 2 is talking about the impacts on human being, on health, on vegetation, on ocean, on others. IPCC 3 is talking about emissions. However, mostly the IPCC group 3 mostly focus on carbon dioxide only, or plus the economy, the impacts. They more or less ignore those pollutants, the SOx and NOx. Recently, people are talking about a black carbon, but still talking from the climate perspective rather than the air pollution perspective. Most of those pollutants actually the same root from the fossil energy. So that's the reason we think we should link the air pollution and the carbon dioxide together, because they have the same mother. The root is from the fossil energy. So our approach is we use the one stone to kill 2 birds and even multi birds to reduce both the air pollutants and the greenhouse gas emissions. Traditionally, in the European countries, in US, in other developing countries, they cut one by one. At the beginning, they found acid rain, they reduce sulfur dioxide. Later, they found NOx is another contributor to the acid rain. They controlled the NOx. Later, they found another air pollutants. They found particulates. They found black carbon, mercury. One by one, they cut one by one, like the man cut the branches of the tree. So if we cut the fossil energy tree from the root, we cut all of them. That's the theoretical philosophy methodology of our co-control. I don't have time to go to the detail to talk about the co-control methodology itself. For people who are interested, just download our report, read it, and we get I'm happy to discuss with you. I skip the methodology part and continue to talk about China's contribution to the world. Why? Before that, I should answer the question: why is China proposed the co-control, not other countries? What I found is, from the historical development perspective, you found the other countries, they have time to control one by one, control SOx first, and then NOx, and then particulates, VOC, ozone one by one. They have time. However, for China, and then carbon dioxide. This is the other European, US, and Japan, their control process. However, for China, we don't have time. When we started, when we are suffering the air pollution, the international organizations, international community pushing China to reduce carbon as well. So that's why China should think about them together. Can we combine together to reduce? This is one major historical development reason. Another one, what I found is China really has an institutional advantage. This is a piece of research work I studied decades ago. Actually, I joining many research workshops, seminars in Japan, in ASEAN countries, in US, in Europe. I talk about a co-control for many times, but only China, convert the academic research results to the actions. That's, you already see that China has air pollution law article 2. China has action plan for the co-control. China, even in order to implement the co-control years ago, let the climate department from NDRC completely moved to the MEE to work together shoulder by shoulder with air pollution departments. So this is China, not only talking about academic concept, convert into the actions. And this is actually not only China actually has a co-benefits maximization philosophy in carbon dioxide. Not only the air pollutant, also in renewable energy development, electrical cars. China wants to maximize the co-benefits. And China actually, in the past of China of co-control, can share with other industrial emerging economies like India, like ASEAN countries. They are still on the way to industrialize their economy. So China can go through the one Belt One Road to share with those countries, to share China's lessons and experiences with those countries. And China actually also can contribute to the UN system. I used to work for UN, so I know better the internal UN system institution contribution, institution arrangements. So UN is so hard to give a co-control program because UN is such a fragmentation organization. United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, actually UN Environment has a secretariat in Nairobi. They are not able even to control with CBD secretariat in Montreal. The UNFCCC secretariat in Bonn, Germany, is a so fragmentation system. It's so hard for UN have a one UN. This is a proposed by Kofi Annan, Secretary General. When he was the Secretary General, he gave a strategy, one UN. However, even already past more than 10 years, still UN is not become a coordinated organization. However, China's co-control could contribute such a kind of institutional experiences to share with other countries to reduce both one being under pressure of reduced greenhouse gas emission. We could also gain the co-benefits to reduce air pollutants in their own country, to develop renewable energy, to develop electrical cars at the same time. So this is, I think, China's climate change action plan can be shared with other developing countries to gain other benefits. So China right now also has a 人类命运共同体, such a kind of new concept. I would say in the future, China's such a kind of technological solution also can contribute to the UN system to build a shared future of humankind. So this is my thought about the co-control. If you are interested, just either email me or add me into the WeChat. I'm happy to have a further discussion with you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Hu. So let's have some time for the Q&A. If you have any question, then just you can raise your hand, or you can just type your question in the chat box. Mao Liang.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Hu. Yeah, I feel very inspired. I learned a lot from your presentation. So, yeah, I would like to ask a question, which is on the other side. Okay, so we see the benefits, okay, and the motivations, and all reasons why we need to do or to promote the co-control. Okay. However, on the other side, okay, I mean, we see there are still conflicts, between different pollutants, okay, different issues, yeah. So this is nothing to deny the benefits of this co-control or co-benefit, okay, but just to look at from the other side. So when these some different pollutants, okay, they cannot be co-controlled, okay, and not only from the technical side, I mean those technical mechanisms, but also if you look at from the firms or the regulation perspective, and there's one theory, okay, we usually from business school we call the attention-based view. Okay, attention-based view. So which means that those regulators or the firm leaders, they need to allocate their own attention. So the attention to they have own the priority for different issues, right? So this means that so for different pollutants, okay, and according to the attention-based view, so there will be a this kind of rank. Okay, so which was something they will assign the top priority, and something the second, something the third. Okay, so from this logic, this definitely there will be conflicts, for different pollutants. So I'm just wondering that given you have also mentioned that, for example, to reduce the SO2 maybe cause the CO2, okay, they're going up. So this is exactly the good example to illustrate, the conflicts here. So, because based on the attention-based view, so even the policy makers, and they have, they have something in mind. Okay, they give the top priority. Okay, so then how they how they will deal with this issue. So again, this is the outside. Okay, nothing to do with the co-control. We sure when we can do that. This is on those they can complementary with each other. But what I will ask the scenario that is they are definitely internally they're conflict with each other. So how to deal with? Do you buy this attention-based view? Do you think this is reasonable? I would like to hear your thoughts. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Bu. Actually, I don't think it is contradictory with the co-control approach, the attention-based view. So you mentioned, what's the highest priority for the decision makers right now? That means actually they put the highest weight on the multi-decision-making goals. So you can only put 100% goal, ignore another one. Normally is maybe you put a higher weights on the one objective and the others on the lower weights. So this is a multi-goal decision-making process from decision-making perspective. Even for right now, the Europeans, they are mostly very, very high level, highest priority of the climate change, right? However, today, they don't care the coal-fired plants. They don't care the natural gas because they are suffering the energy security. They completely change their weights of the decision making. This right now, the climate change is not their highest priority attention-based view. They change. That means maybe in the past they somehow paid attention on the climate change. They should better coordinate with other goals. So it's from the decision making, for goal setting perspective, actually the attention-based view is only focused on the highest priority goals. But still, lower priority goals cannot be ignored. It should combine together. The people and the society is complicated. You cannot use only one rule to measure everything. It is very complicated. It is a multi-dimension world. So you should think about other dimensions, not only one dimension. This is one I want to echo to you. Another one, actually, if you think about among all of the decision-making goals, you will find, hey, taking some actions can reach one goal and two goals and a couple of goals together. Early back to the sulfur dioxide emission reduction lessons I showed you, you mentioned. Are there some better sulfur dioxide control measures to reduce both carbon and to reduce both SOx and the carbon? Actually, yes. If you dramatically improve the coal-fired power plants efficiency, like IGCC technology, it can be reduced both carbon and the sulfur dioxide. If you use renewable energy to completely take over the coal-fired plants, you will see that can reduce both carbon and the sulfur dioxide. Even you use at the beginning of pipe rather than end of pipe, if you use coal washing technology, washing the dust from the coal, you can dramatically improve the efficiency to reduce sulfur for 100% sure, and also improve the efficiency to reduce the carbon as well. Like in Shanghai, 外高桥第三电厂外高桥3 right now the coal-fired power plant efficiency is almost the highest. They use early I mentioned the coal washing and IGCC and the critical, what I call it, super ultra critical technology to improve the efficiency. This technology control measures can reach the both air pollution goal and control goal and carbon dioxide control goal. So not only sulfur dioxide FGD technology is not only one. So people are not aware about that. So my research actually is trying to let people pay attention to coordinations, to a multi-dimension perspective, look at the world, how the world is not independent. You know, one pollutant is independent of another, how we can coordinate them each other to find the best control measures to achieve the multi-pollutant goals control. So I think the most important, so for the, back to your attention best view, the business from the business, your goal not only the profits as well, right? You should think about the image, like a CSR, like ESG also should be paid attention. You also have the multiple goals. You should think about how to find a way to achieve the both goals. So again, I would say, so the attention-based view approach, not a contradictory with the co-control.
Thank you very much. Do we have other questions? Anyone who has a question can raise hand or just type it in the chat box. I do have a question. So Dr. Hu, thank you very much for the very insightful talk. My question is about this COP27. What do you expect the outcome to be? So we are ongoing. We have this ongoing negotiation, and of course, a lot of proposals will be made. And after 2 weeks of negotiation, what do you expect the biggest or the big outcomes from this very major climate conference?
That's a good question. You know, I'm already retired. I'm a veteran of top conferences. So from this year, I don't have a high expectation of COP27. I think international society also, they don't high expectation. From the negotiation terminology, if you know the fruits, we have a 小年大年之说 So this year actually is a small year. So this year, even next year would be in Doha or in UAE, in Dubai or Doha. Anyway, I'm sorry, could be in Dubai next year. Next year, even still a small year. The international society is expecting the big year is in next year in Sydney, Australia. Might be Sydney. Australia is eager to host. And the US is, especially Democrats, the current Biden administration is expecting to make to harvest the past years to make another big deal in COP, I would say 29, COP29 in Australia as a legacy of a Biden administration. So this year, my expectation, my guess actually, is people could reach a result and with very soft limitation. People put all of the views together, especially this year is in Sharm el-Sheikh. Sharm el-Sheikh geographic location is very special. Egypt is an African country, but Sharm el-Sheikh is in Asia part. So Egypt, they thought they are representative of Africa countries and Asia countries. So that's why I specifically chose the Sharm el-Sheikh, the place as a COP27. and they saw the voice of African and Asian countries. The voice actually is get funding from no matter whom they pay them. So that's a big expectation from Asian and African countries. That's why this is a very hot topic right now. They are not only talking about a mitigation, talking about the promise by the Obama administration. Obama administration used to promise $100 million to the developing countries to support their climate actions. However, still they only did that just a little bit, so far away from their promise. So this is one. Developing countries still eager to get funding. This is one. Another one actually is damage issue. This year there are a lot of many countries in the world are suffering the heat wave. Probably in the coming season, the cold winter, people are talking about a damage. Developing countries, we are damaged by the climate change. They are trying to a kind of lawsuit, not exactly, but a kind of lawsuit. You should pay me. Who should pay you? So they are asking, they want to get some funding, at least the funding from other developing countries. That's one of the reasons why John Kerry is so eager before COP27, so eager to talk with China, with Special Envoy Xie Zhenhua, my former boss, talking about climate coordination. U.S. is eager to talk with China because they want China somehow to share the burden of developed countries, industrial countries. China is saying we are developing countries. It's not our obligation. Historically, you already emit a lot of emissions. Shouldn't us, China, to make some contributions? Although right now in this current period, we emit a lot. But this is a historical responsibility issue. So China doesn't want to talk with John Kerry, and that's the current situation and international. So I somehow compare with WTO negotiation. I used to attend a couple of WTO negotiations. What I found, WTO negotiation is more environmental, climate friendly than the climate negotiation. In WTO, every year or every season, actually, we go to the same conference room, meet the same people, talking about the same topic, although no result, but the same. So even for me, at that time when in negotiation are very intensive, I have two set of, not only two, but at least two Western suits. One suit I put in Geneva. I don't bring it back. I only bring my small suitcase to go take the airplane. My suitcase is still waiting for me in Geneva. I wear that to go to the conference room. However, for the climate negotiation, look at it here. Today is Sharm el-Sheikh. I mentioned it is a vacation resort. I used to attend the Bali Island one, the Cancun one. Look at those are the vacation results. You guys create a lot of climate greenhouse gas emissions when you are going to the negotiation conference rooms. So this is a climate negotiation. They are being criticized a lot. However, that's it. They are still doing so. So not only me. So the Greta, the famous girl advocating climate change today, this year, she didn't go to the Sharm el-Sheikh for the climate change. She strongly criticizes the conference of parties meetings. So that's roughly my view. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we have probably a final question. Surely you can.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, thank you, the host, and thank you for Professor Hu for the excellent presentation. So we agree that this is an important concept and kind of methodology, like for further estimation of the best actions to take to tackle, like for future policy making, etc. But kind of it feels to me that it's always better, kind of so when tackling like multiple pollutants is always better than one, and then so we have multiple kind of different types of traditional air pollutants, and we have multiple types of greenhouse gases, and then kind of can we say it's always better to have more like pollutants kind of considered, or like should we have kind of the optimal boundary, like to keep how many types of emissions included in the analysis? This is one question. I have one more question that, so you probably have done many kind of empirical analysis, like different cases for different industries of this estimation. Kind of what do you think is the most important next step? Should we do more empirical analysis for different industries, or should we kind of develop some kind of type of stereotype or methodology for a better like kind of roadmap to develop future policies like under this concept? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Shuli. And for your first question, I don't think there's a 0-1 question with a limited boundary or not. Actually, again, because we have the multiple goal decision-making process. When we're setting up the goals, we put the different weights on the different goals. So for the comparatively less important goals, you just put the weights much smaller than the biggest weights. That's easy. Not a 0-1 question. It's from 0 to 1. You put, if the only one goal, you just put 100% weight. If it's completely ignored, you can put 0. So if in between, you can put 0.5 or 0.3 or 0.1, whatever you think. By the way, actually, the decision-making setting goals is not only a scientific issue, is a kind of normal judge issue. People, different countries might have the different goals. That's why in developed countries in the past 3 decades, when the climate change started, they almost put 100% goal on the climate change rather than air pollution, because for them, air pollution is more or less being controlled. Not 100%, but they put the weight very, very small. That's also the reason, you know, in UK, they proposed the concept of low carbon economy, low carbon society. They never and ever talk about the low sulfur economy, low sulfur energy. That's also, I repeatedly mentioned a couple of times to my colleagues, decades ago, to my MEP colleagues. Why should we only follow the low carbon economy? Why don't we follow the low sulfur economy? At that time, China, sulfur dioxide is the highest priority. We should balance, we should set up both goals. We should set up even multiple pollutant goals, put them together. It's not a 0-1 question, it's 0-1 question. Put different weights for the different goals. And for the second question, for the empirical research work, you know, probably you can, if you're interested, you can read our methodology, our report in details, and you will find some details in the report and articles, how to do the empirical research work in the different sectors and different regions. Especially regions are very complicated. You should combine many, many factors. However, in the practical issue, what I found, although China already, China has already put the Article 2 of Air Pollution Protection Prevention Law, Although China has an action plan, what I found is still lack of guidelines to guide the practitioners to have the co-control. Although we developed the methodology meaning to evaluate the control measure is whether is co-control or not. We have the control degree, by the way, not a 0-1. It's from 0 to 1. Some technology are 100% like a renewable. If we don't consider their supply chain, it's 100% control. Like a co-control degree is 100%. Like co-washing is I cannot remember, but is roughly is 60, 100%. IGCC technology is 80% degree of co-control. Some FGD technology, co-control degree is minus, is negative, is completely controversial. It's not a co-benefits, it's a counter-benefits. What I found in the practical, we really need some guidelines to get practitioners. The guidelines, actually, we cannot have a general one. We should have the sector by sector one, like a specific guidelines for the coal-fired power plants, guidelines for the building materials, guidelines for the iron and steel industry, guidelines, because different sectors, technologies, control measures are very different. We have to go further to provide some guidelines for the practitioners to follow the guidelines to do. They don't have to understand the principles. They don't have to understand the detailed the methodologies, but they should follow the guidelines to do the co-control. So that's my feeling. When I give the lectures to different provincial environmental protection departments, I really found they need such a kind of practitioner handbook or guidelines for them to do the co-control work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hu. I guess we have to conclude this wonderful talk. Thank you very much for attending this talk, and let's probably give a round of applause for Dr. Hu. Thank you very much. Thanks. So, by the way, so the third talk will be coming 2 weeks from now. I'll see you then. Bye-bye. Thank you very much, Dr. Hu.